What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Mr. Elisha26, back at you with another video. This is not my 6-month top surgery update video. That will be next. I got a slideshow planned for you guys. I put the finishing touches up on it tonight, and I post that tomorrow, which will be June 9th, 2015. This is a video, though, to talk about getting my court order for a gender marker change on my birth certificate. Yes, your boy did it today. So I'm going to tell you about that process. So today is June 8th, 2015, and I took the day off of work to go into court. Some of you may or may not know, 2 weeks ago, I went down to Oregon, which is the birthplace of your boy, Mr. Elisha26, Portland, Oregon. Multnomah County, March 20th, 1986. Yes, I'm pretty old, but who gives a fuck? I still look good, and people still think I'm in high school. But anyway, that all aside, I went down there and they told me, because I don't live in Multnomah County, that their court could not do it. Even though, when I called Vital Records, they said that they have to have a court order from Oregon. I was pretty pissed, but at the same time I got to spend, some time with my little sister because she lives in Portland, so it wasn't a horrible thing. Plus I also met up with a trans guy that I've met through my channel and my Instagram account, that a young guy, so we got to meet. Boss with the floss. I'll let your boy. But anyway, that's his IG name, so yeah, go follow that dude. He's pretty cool. But anyway, that aside, so because I had taken off a full day 2 weeks ago, I didn't want to take off another full day because prior to that, the whole month of May, I only worked, the whole month of May and half of April, I only worked like 2 full weeks, without taking off for a 3 or 4 day weekend. So I wasn't trying to create a pattern and have my job looking at me all suspicious. So I waited a week and took off this Monday. So anyway, that all aside, let's talk about what happened. So I woke up this morning, got all my paperwork together. I wasn't sure what time the court was going to convene because I'm a procrastinator. And I kept saying I was going to call and find out what time I had to be there. And I just never did. So I was like, I'll just go when they open. I mean, I wake up at 6:30 every day, so it's not a big deal. I'll just go when the courthouse opens and talk to the clerks and they'll tell me what to do. So I went down there, and first I went to civil court because I thought it was a civil matter. Turns out it's a superior court matter. Okay, so I wasted like about 10 minutes downstairs in civil court. So I got upstairs. Because of that, I got up there, it was about 25 after court convenes at 8:30, and you have till about 8:45 really to get in there before the court, excuse me, before the court is out of session. So I was like, alright, so I missed it, but the lady helped me fill out the paperwork to the best of her ability. There were a few issues, so she said what you can do is, she's like, I'm going to put a stamp on here with your case number. She's like, you can pay your $20 now, your filing fee, and then you can come back today at 3:30 and get, just come back, tell them that you already paid your fee, and that your paperwork will be right here in this bin, and you can just be on the docket. She's like, it'll be easier to faster be quick. She's like, but come back a little bit early because I did leave a space blank because she wasn't sure. She's like, I'll have my supervisor check on what we should put in this space, and then you can fill that in and then go straight to court. So I got there around 2:50 this afternoon. They just had me write in a little bit of information, and then I asked the clerk if I could be the last docket because I kind of wanted to preserve my privacy with the whole issue, because Kitsap County is hella freaking small, and everyone in this area knows someone who works in the shipyard, which is where I work. The shipyard is the largest employer in Kitsap County. They employ 12 to 13,000 people. So there's no way no one wouldn't know me or know about me if they were in court and they heard my full name and that, I'm there for gender marker change. So, she was like, it's really up to the court clerk. She's like, but I'll pass along the information and hopefully she'll be receptive to the sensitivity of the issue. So I was like, okay. So I was like, well, fingers crossed. And I mean, you know, if it had to be, I was, you know, in the middle of the pack, then that's what it was going to be. You can't always control everything. So I'm sitting in there. It's 9 cases on the docket that morning, including me, and attorneys go first. There's only one attorney case. But thankfully, the court clerk was receptive to the sensitivity of the issue and put me last. So I'm going second to last, and now it's just like whenever you get done with your hearing, you're allowed to just leave. You don't have to like stay or anything. So the court had cleared out. There's only me and these 2 older white ladies in there. So they call the lady up, and there's like in the matter of so and so, the petitioner in regards to in regards to guardianship of, and then the judge goes, I don't know how to say this, so I'm just going to spell it Jaymce, and the lady stands up and says, it's James, it's phonetic, and walks up, and like she says it with that look on her face like, how dare you not know how to say James. Mind you, my judge was British. She was a Asian British lady, and she just looks at her clerk. She goes, and the clerk looks back at her. She's like, all right, okay, so, and they go through the thing. They didn't have all their paperwork together, so she told them, you need to get all this paperwork filled out and then come back tomorrow and we'll handle this. So they leave. So then she calls me forward, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness nobody's in here. And she was like, you know, asking me questions because they had never had anybody come in and get a court order for gender marker change. The clerk had told me that one other person that came in, and they sent them to, they have like a law library in the courthouse where you can go, and they have, you know, like court librarians or legal librarians that can help you pull up information, because the clerks can't really do that for you because they have to service the people in line. And they said, and the person just never came back, so they weren't really sure how to proceed. So she said, you know, I've never had anybody do this. Do you know what you exactly need, or tell me what happened? So I told her I had went to Oregon, and I told her what the people in Oregon said at vital records and the courthouse and everything. And she said, that's weird if you're born in the state of Oregon. And I was like, well, they said because I reside in Kitsap County, I needed a Kitsap County judgment. So I had this paperwork that they gave me from vital records where this lady had written in there basically what I needed. And she said I needed a court certified copy of a court order for gender change and name change, but I already had my name changed, so it's not a big deal. So she was like, do you have the name change with you? And I said yes. So I passed that up to her, and I told her I also had a letter from my therapist and a letter from my primary care physician from when I went and had top surgery, which is considered a gender reassigning surgery. And she was like, okay, well, she's like, I have a letter in here from an affidavit in here from Dr. Charles Garamone. And she was like, this should be enough. So I was like, okay. So she read through it, and then she asked me, you know, what relief from the court I was looking for. And I just told her, you know, I needed, you know, the court to give me this paperwork so I could have my birth certificate changed so that I could continue on with my life without having to worry about, you know, people finding out that I'm transgender and everything. She's like, okay, that makes sense. And she's like, well, I've read what you've written in your like motion to the court, and she's like, this is incorrect. And she's like, and I understand that the clerk helped you fill this out. So she's like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to refill out a petition to the court and a motion for you, and then I'll read it to you when I'm done, and we can figure out if this is the correct wording and everything, and make sure that this statement is correct, and then we'll sign it and go from there. So I was like, okay. So she's like writing away. Like, I thought she was writing me a short story on this, John. Like, head down, just like going at it. And like referring to documents, and every once in a while she'd ask me a few questions about what was happening. And so, you know, I'm just like standing there, me and the clerk and the stenographer, and they're having like the quietest whisper conversation I've ever heard. Like, at first I thought I was hearing things because I was like, I wasn't looking at them, but I'd be looking away and then I'd be like, are they talking? Because it was so quiet. They were like the best whisperers in the world. But anyway, so then we're all sitting there, and then the door that the judge comes in opens up, and it's one of the one of the county clerks, and she was like talking to the court clerk about the lady that came in petitioning for guardianship of James, and she was like, they're wondering if they could come back in if they get this paperwork done in time. And she was like, well, they needed more than just that thing filled out. And she was like, well, they were saying if they get it filled out, can they come back? And she was like, well, if they make it in here in time. So then I was like, great, there's going to be an audience. So we're sitting there, and I'm just hoping that the judge gets done soon enough so that no one comes in here and has to hear what I'm saying. Because when you're in court, like open court, everyone just comes in all at once, and you sit through all the cases till your name is called. So we're sitting there, and I'm like, oh, goodness. So she read me the motion that she wrote. Well, not the motion. She read me the petition that she wrote on my behalf to the court. And, you know, I said that that's correct, and that is what I'm seeking as relief from the court. And then she passed it to me, and I signed it. And then she's like, okay, now I'm going to write the motion, which is basically her judgment as the presiding judge. So she's writing it, and then all of a sudden the door opens up. Well, no, she's writing it and talking, and then she's reading a few lines of it to make sure that is correct, and then she's rereading something from the letter that Dr. Garamoni sent, and then the door opens, and she just cuts off completely. And the lady comes back in and sits down, and she looks at me, she's like, would you mind if I handle their case? Just stop your case right now, handle their case real quickly to get them out of here, and then reconvene your case so that you can have your privacy. And I was like, oh, that would be great. And she's like, okay. So her clerk was like, just step to the side. She's like, you can put your stuff right here and just stand off to the side against the wall. And then she called back the lady, signed her stuff, handed the lady, you know, some paperwork. The lady signed it. She signed it. The judge signed it, stamped it, and then gave it to the clerk, and they were sent them to the clerk's office. And then she waited for them to collect all their paperwork that they had bought up as evidence and all their things and leave. And then she reconvened my case, which I was like really, really impressed with, because I mean, it's after 4:30, which is what time the courthouse closes. So it's after 4:30, but she waited the extra time in order to give me my privacy. And her clerk and her stenographer they didn't look like, oh my God, you know, they were just like, you know, very polite looking, or like, you know, we understand the sensitivity of the issue, which was really great. And Judge Mills was great. So then she read the motion. Well, she read the motion of the court, which basically said, so she said, you know, in regards to Tremaine Elisha, last name, that I was requesting for a change of gender marker on birth certificate. And she said that that this matter having come on for hearing upon application of petitioner Tremaine Hertz requested, I don't know why I redacted my last name before, I don't know, requested from the state of Oregon an amendment to his birth certificate regarding gender. He was advised that he needed a court order for gender change. This court orders that Tremaine Elisha Hertz's true gender be acknowledged as male. This order is made in reliance on the certified copy of affidavit of Dr. Charles Garamoni, D.O., dated 12/11/14, and attached herein and a part of the court file. And then it has the date, and she signed it, and I signed it. And so after she read it to me, she swore me in, had me sign it, then attached basically like the affidavit. This is the affidavit that Dr. Garamoni gives you after surgery. He gives you 2 copies. And then she signed the first page and everything like that. So everything was good to go. The whole procedure took about 15 minutes, including the time that I had to wait for her to finish the other case. But I was just really impressed with the fact that this is open court. So when you go to open court, there's the understanding that anybody can sit there and listen to your case and hear, whatever private details are a part of the case. And I was really just pleased that they understood the sensitivity of the issue, because they understand the climate of this community, that everyone knows people here. And it was, really, really relieving to have them be very sensitive to that, especially because they had never done a case like this. Maybe they've never encountered a person who is actually transgender, So it was really dope of them to be, receptive to the fact that this is something I wouldn't want everybody to know about. And when, I'm sure maybe they weren't exactly expecting me to look like this, to have so much facial hair and to look so masculine, because people have these perceptions that transgender people don't pass. Like, you can tell that that woman is transgender, or you can tell that that man is transgender. So I don't know what preconceived notions they had coming in. I know when I spoke to the clerk's office this morning and I told them my issue, what I was there to do, they were very receptive and quiet about it as well. And so, not all situations are the best. I've had doctors out here that were very less than professional. I've had, run-ins with those types of people, but it was great that the court was very unbiased. Now, maybe those people are, very religious or Republican or whatever, but they were very, very professional. And so now this is just the first process. I still have to send this paperwork into Vital Records and wait with money, and wait 6 to 8 weeks for them to send back the paperwork, with a possibility of 10 weeks. It could be all the way out to 10 weeks. That's depending on, how busy it is. So I have to, get everything set up. Not set up, filled out, and then mail it in. I have to provide a $50 fee, which includes $20 for a new certified birth certificate and $30 for them to update the record. So, yeah, so, I mean, it's going to take a little bit, but I'll get it. I'm just really excited that it went so easy, It's not always easy for everyone and in every state, and I just feel very fortunate to live in a state where the proceeding was easier. And then I also feel very fortunate that so far in my transition, even though pretty much every person I've had to deal with, my own primary care physician, as well as the court people, this is their first time doing, cases or dealing with patients who are transgender. And people have been very, very receptive of, learning the proper procedures or what they have to do to provide care or service to me. The judge had her clerk print out information beforehand, as well as so did the county clerk. Like, she had a paper. So the county clerk, the first one that I spoke to, her name was Chris, and she didn't work in the afternoon when I came back, but her supervisor had printed out gender change on birth certificate information for the state of Washington. And she was like, I'm not sure exactly what it is in Oregon. She's like, but this is what we need in Washington. She's like, so if you want to take this in there as a guideline, that's totally fine. They're being very helpful. They're doing their jobs. They're actually doing their jobs. And that was very refreshing and whatnot. And I know I'm rambling, but I'm just like very excited that this process was smooth, because I was very nervous whenever I have to um, disclose my gender identity to people who don't know me. I always get nervous, even to people who do know me, like at the job if I had to. But it's, you know, really cool. Well, it's just really refreshing to see that people can put aside whatever preconceived notions or bias or religious beliefs that they have towards my community to provide a service to me to help me along my journey. And so after she swore me in and read everything and asked me if this was true, was this, you know, yada yada yada, and I said yes, and then we signed everything. She said, thank you for being patient with me to provide the service, because she helped the other person before me. She's like, and I wish you continued success on your journey. And then the court clerk and the court stenographer both were like, gave me a smile and a nod. And it was just really comforting to have that kind of situation, because I went to court by myself. But to have support from the judge, the stenographer, and the court clerk and the county clerk was great. So, I wished them, a good week and everything like that. And they were just nice. Now, what they say about me after I leave, who knows? Maybe they were like, I wonder this, I wonder that, blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever. But at least to give me that respect in my court proceedings, I felt was phenomenal. There was no slippage of pronouns, just he's all the way around, sirs. And then even after the people left, the court clerk was like, sir, please come back to, please come back over here. It was just great. So that is so far the experience with changing my birth cert. I got to get a bank check tomorrow, because I don't do checks. I don't keep boxes of checks. I rarely ever write them. So I get a bank check tomorrow and then mail this all out. I'm going to mail it. I'm going to go to the post office, actually. There's a post office right across the street from the bank. So I'll go in there, get the bank check, and then go to the post office and mail this like certified. And I'll get copies of all this shit made. I won't get a copy of the actual court order, because that has to be certified. They told me I could come back and get more copies if I need it. And then I'll just get a copy of the paperwork and everything. So hopefully in 10 or 11 weeks, I'll have a brand new copy of my birth certificate with the correct gender and name on it, so that I can go about life. The last thing I need to do is change my driver's license. Now, I know I said I was going to change my driver's license. Don't hold my feet to the fire, please. Because what happened was, they lost my paperwork, and then subsequently I lost the paper that had from my actual doctor, so I need to get another one of those. Yeah, but so far I don't even really use my driver's license that often. When people are looking to see how old I am, they don't look to see what my gender is, because they look at dozens of driver's licenses, probably hundreds a day. So yeah, I'm just really excited to have these 2 pieces of paper that are affirming my gender identity to everyone else. To have this motion and then this name change paperwork right here, this shit is so fucking dope. It means so much. So, yep, this video has been long enough already. If you stay tuned for 25 fucking minutes of it, you the real MVP. And tomorrow the next video, which I'll be posting tomorrow as of today, will be my 6-month photo slideshow. So stay tuned for that. I know you guys want to see it. Everybody, for whatever reason in the trans community, loves slideshows. This will be my first one, and I had to download an app to my phone to be able to make it, because I don't know how to make these shits. I haven't done a PowerPoint presentation since I was in the freaking Navy. So I just went and found an app that did it for me. Basically, took all the work out of it. It was actually pretty simple. So maybe there'll be another one at my 1 year mark. But yeah. So until tomorrow, everybody be easy. I'm about to take my shot. Shout out to everybody on T. Shout out to everybody about to be on T. Shout out to the people who are just now discovering themselves. And who their true gender identity is. Shout out to all the people who had top surgery this month, because there was like a surge of people having top surgery on Instagram that I follow. Shout out to everybody who is, somewhere in their transition or discovering who they are, because it takes a lot. And, we come a long way when we finally get to that point where we decide to live our truths. And it's a beautiful and amazing thing. So, yeah. Until next time, be easy. And remember, you can always hit me up. My information is down here should you feel the need. I'm always available. I have a phone I take to work, so you can email me if you need to. But like I said, just keep pushing forward, because these tiny steps really turn into big changes at some point. You can look at me and see it. So yeah, until much time, much love and much light.